All right, let's go.
Is it recording?
I think it is. I see the red button on it.
Okay.
It's been going for 27.
All right.
28.
Welcome back to Quality Matters. I'm your hostess, Darcy Chambers.
I was counting.
I think I moved my microphone away.
I think you did too.
Okay. I'm moving it back.
Well, I'm Kyle.
All right. So we are going to talk about Deming's red bead experiment.
Woohoo.
It's, from what I understand, a pretty famous experiment. Yes. I've only recently discovered it when looking through blogs to share on our episode.
In today's global economy, quality matters. Benjamin Franklin once quipped, "The bitterness of poor quality remains long after the sweetness of low price is forgotten." Quality Matters is here to talk about all things quality. So whether you're looking to improve your business, getting ready for an audit, or dealing with failed inspections, tune in, check us out, then get back to doing work that matters.
There was a quick little 10-minute video of Deming doing this in front of an audience at a conference or something such as that. So,
well, what's the point of the red bead experiment before we get to going into it? Let people know a little bit of the point of it first.
The point is to show. I like to wait till the end. I like to work up to the lesson.
I know.
Kyle likes to know the lesson. So the point is...
Start with the end in mind.
Fine. The point is to show that no matter how good your system is, no matter how willing or hard of a worker you have, they're working within your system. And if your system is not good, then your hard and willing worker cannot do a good job.
Amen.
Good job, Darcy. So what he does in the 10-minute clip that I saw is he has 5 people come up from the audience. He has, now remember this is however long ago it was. And so he has 2 inspectors and 1 chief inspector.
Yes.
Okay. And he has a larger tub and a smaller tub. And he has like 3,200 white beads in the tub and 800 red beads.
Yep.
And your red beads are your non-conforming. Your job is to collect the white beads only.
Yes.
And he has a little paddle. And he demonstrates how to do this. And in his experiment, you pour it from the larger vessel to the smaller vessel or vice versa. And then you pour it back just to add some steps in. And then you take the little paddle and you submerge it into the beads with a gentle agitation, not more than gentle agitation, at a 44-degree angle or something precise like that. And you lift it up and you count how many red beads are on this paddle. I think there's 50 indentions.
Yeah, so it can hold 1 bead at a time. So it's not like they're in a bowl shape. They're flat on a paddle, right?
Yes, they're flat on a paddle, and it holds 50 beads, I believe. And so he has 1 worker come up, pour, gentle agitation, how many red beads? And he takes it over to the inspector. The one inspector looks, the other inspector looks. The chief inspector states the number of red beads and dismisses the employee to go continue their job. So they do this, and they record all 5 workers' non-conformities every time. And then he decides, I may get this out of order. He decides we're going to only keep the 3 best workers. Okay. So they look at their numbers. They keep
now, what determines the best worker?
The fewest number of red beads. Okay. And so they dismiss the other employees. You can collect your pay at the window on the way out, he says. And they leave. The 3 best workers start working. And at some point, it may have been before he dismissed the ones or not, he says, well, we're going to say you can only have 5 red beads. Or maybe 3 red, something like that. And, you're my best workers. You can do this. I have faith in you.
And they can adjust the end result a little by how much they shake it. And
they can't.
Okay.
Because he as a supervisor is watching them and you're only allowed a gentle agitation.
Gotcha.
Okay, you only submerge it once, gently agitate to release the excess beads and lift it up. And so, he goes through the 3 best workers and, well, what happened? You were my best worker. You're only supposed to have this many red beads. And, he ends up dismissing 1 or 2 more. And the point is, as we stated previously, it doesn't matter how good and he says it several times. Thank you for being a hard and willing worker. You can collect your pay on the way out. But if your system is not good, your workers can't do a good job.
And so there's some necessary arbitrary nature to his experiment, right? So while yes, everything is precise, this degree angle, the agitation, everything is very precise, that someone else had determined that this was the best way to do it. But if you don't allow for any change, any other methods, if it's just do it this way and get it done and do the best you can within these strict confinements, that's what you're going to run into is your people are do the best they can. Maybe he can try to shake a red one off without losing the white one. Maybe he can do that, but that's about the most you can do.
But I don't know that you can do that because the paddle's supposed to be full when you bring it to your inspector. And you can't waste time picking up the white ones to put on the paddle. That's why you have the paddle, so you can collect the most beads at the same time.
And so what's fun about the experiment is that it seems very arbitrary. And you kind of look at it and you're like, well, that's silly. There's better ways to do it. But, the fact is that these are the rules they were told to follow. And so within the confinement of those rules, you're very limited.
Well, and, he's illustrating one, like we said, if your system's not good, your employees can't do a good job. And two, he as the leader didn't change his system. He said, you guys didn't do as good as these others. We're going to release you, send you home. You guys are doing okay, but now we're going to increase your production or your benchmarks, but it's impossible to meet because it's arbitrary. There's no way they can control what they collect.
Well, and this again, previous episodes here, and if you've not listened, again, shame on you. And you need to go listen to the past ones, but if not, this idea of part versus part of. So what they were doing here is one piece, one part. They had one operation that they were performing over and over and getting judged on it, but it has to be treated as a system. That part of is the system idea. And if you read anything that Deming talks about, system is probably his single favorite word. It has to be part of a system. All of these pieces and components have to work together. Otherwise, you are up a creek.
So perhaps leadership should look at the person before them that was gathering the beads.
Yes.
Because if 3,200 are white and 800 are red, that's a quarter of them. Right? So
so you could have your inspectors here get a completely different result if the person doing the initial agitation of the beads did them differently. Again, it's very arbitrary, but it's meant to be arbitrary to take these complex ideas and make it simple. But if you change the way that those were mixed in the very beginning, you get a very different result on the back end. So it all kind of cascades down, but it has to work as a system. Well, he had
each employee pour the beads from one vessel to another. But I'm saying the imaginary person that was before them that collected all the beads, they should have done a better job of getting only white beads in there.
Exactly.
And picking out the red ones.
And we talk about inputs versus outputs. I know that sounds like a buzzword, but it matters, and it matters greatly. Is as you think about it, like with your car, right? So when you push the gas pedal, you go faster, right? You're not going to go faster without pushing the gas pedal. That is the input, and the output's how fast you go. You're not going to change the output without either changing the input or changing the process. So if you take, just a regular economy car versus sports car, you've got the same input of the pressure on the pedal, but you've got a very different output. Well, the process is different with that sports car. It's got a better engine. That's a better process. But if you push the gas pedal more on the economy car, you'll still go faster. The point is that all of these things have to work together. And that's what he demonstrates so amazingly well in this experiment, is how things have to work together.
I think that's a good example with the sports car.
Well, good, because I just kind of came up with it on the spot.
Just thinking about the processes.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've done several episodes in a row now talking about the top-down leadership and the bottom-up culture. And the leaders have to recognize there needs to be a change in the system.
Yep.
This is the way we've always done it.
Yes.
That's what we hear a lot.
Yes. And do not take for an instant that my idea is that you need to just change things. This is the way we've always done it.
No.
There is some value to that.
Yes.
Like, you have a good system, good for you, truthfully, good for you.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a good system. But if you came up with that good system, isn't someone else capable of doing it as well?
Well, I have to go back to the Mayo Clinic, that we spent 3 episodes talking about. And they said they knew they were good, but how can we make ourselves better?
Yeah.
And, they talked about the good systems that they had in place, but they couldn't standardize that across all their 50 or more locations.
Right.
So how can we change this good system? How can we improve it to make it fit all our needs?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And, so this all goes back to the same process mapping that we do, which I've got a little quickie video on. I guess I can link in here. But is process maps, the way that we do it here is they have 3 key components. So you've got your inputs, you've got your outputs, and you have your process that converts those inputs into whatever that output is. And when I was a quality manager, one of the things that I would use to illustrate this to folks is eating. You have certain eating that and drinking stuff. You inputs and outputs, right? Now, it can go a number of ways with it, but if you eat a whole bunch of donuts, what's your output? You're going to get a little bit of a flabby belly, right?
Yes.
And so you've got inputs versus outputs, and there's a process that converts it. And some of the outputs are fairly immediate. Some of the outputs take a long time to realize, but you still have inputs and outputs to every process. And you have to look at things in that manner. And this bead experiment is just a perfect example. Mm-hmm. If you changed the inputs to be, instead of being 800 beads, what if you changed it to be 50 red beads?
Exactly. They would do a better job.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean the system's not flawed.
Nope. No. But then as well, if you gave the inspectors 30 seconds to identify a red bead and replace it with a white bead, you'd improve the process. You'd have a better output. Any number of little tweaks will improve that output. So you have to find what you're capable of changing.
And, the point I take away from that is it doesn't have to be a big change to make a big improvement.
Yes. Absolutely.
So, yeah. See what you can do. All right. Thanks for listening, y'all.
Cool.
Listen to our podcast, however you listen to them. Make sure you click subscribe so you'll be alerted when there's a new one out. If you need more information, you can go to qmcast.com and find lots of information about us there.